I enjoyed winning. Guys I played with enjoyed winning. They enjoyed the fact that I helped them win a lot of games. Those are people that you have to work with when you're a professional athlete, and if you don't do it, it's bad for you. It's bad for your sport.
He's finished. That's what they all said about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar after Game 1 of the 1985 NBA Finals. The 38-year-old legend had just been humiliated by the Boston Celtics in what would forever be known as the Memorial Day Massacre. 12 points, 3 rebounds, a 34-point blowout loss that set a new record for the worst finals defeat in Lakers-Celtics history. The media immediately began writing his career obituary, declaring him too old and too slow to compete at the highest level. But what happened next would become the greatest revenge story in basketball history. How does a man they called washed up deliver one of the most dominant finals performances ever seen? The pressure on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar heading into the 1985 finals was unlike anything most athletes will ever face. This wasn't just about winning another championship. The Los Angeles Lakers carried an agonizing 0-8 record against the Boston Celtics in finals matchups. 0 wins, 8 losses, decades of heartbreak and psychological torture. Every single time these two legendary franchises had met on the biggest stage, the Celtics had emerged victorious. The previous year's brutal defeat in 1984 still haunted the entire organization. Game 7 in Boston, the series slipping away in the final moments, the agony of coming so close only to fall short once again. For the Lakers, overcoming the Celtics wasn't just about securing a title, it was about establishing the definitive superiority of the Showtime dynasty over the Larry Bird era. Another failure would confirm the historical curse and perpetuate the myth of Boston's invincibility. This was a non-negotiable mandate for legacy confirmation. The weight of this history pressed down on every player who wore the purple and gold. Every possession felt heavier. Every shot carried the burden of generations. The ghosts of Lakers past seemed to haunt the Forum and especially the Boston Garden, where so many championship dreams had died. For Kareem specifically, this represented potentially his final opportunity to conquer the one rival that had consistently stood in his way. He had 6 championships already, but none had come against Boston in the finals. The narrative of his career, his entire legacy, hung in the balance. When the series began, skeptics questioned whether Kareem's effectiveness could hold up against Boston's rugged frontcourt of Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. The Celtics' twin towers were younger, fresher, and playing with the confidence of defending champions. McHale's post moves and Parrish's rim protection presented a formidable challenge for any center, let alone one approaching 40 years old. Data showed that the vast majority of finals MVPs historically fell within ages 24 to 35. Kareem, at 38, was situated far outside this established zone of peak performance. The combination of his advanced age and the historical rivalry meant any slip-up would be amplified, becoming instant evidence of his decline. And on Memorial Day 1985, that slip-up came in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. The Boston Celtics destroyed the Lakers 148-114. The 34-point margin set a new record that would stand for more than 2 decades. Kareem's stat line was profoundly embarrassing for a player of his stature. 12 points and only 3 rebounds in 22 minutes. Magic Johnson pulled down just a single rebound. The magnitude of the failure couldn't be dismissed as a minor hiccup. Following the game, a visibly dismayed Abdul-Jabbar took ownership of the performance and apologized to his teammates. The locker room was silent. The mood was funeral, but the real damage was just beginning. Sports columnists immediately began writing Abdul-Jabbar's career obituary. Father Time had finally caught up to the 38-year-old center, they said. He was too old and too slow to keep pace with Boston's dominant frontcourt. These public declarations of Kareem's decline served as psychological ammunition for the Celtics. The media had sentenced him. The fans had buried him. Even some of his own teammates wondered if the critics were right. The talking heads on television dissected every moment of his Game 1 performance, replaying his struggles on an endless loop. Newspaper headlines screamed variations of the same theme. The great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had finally run out of gas, but they didn't know what was coming. Before we go deeper into how this 38-year-old flipped the series on its head, I want to know what you think. Was this the greatest revenge performance ever? Let me know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe if you're loving this story. The 72 hours following the Memorial Day Massacre were characterized by intense, focused pressure from the Lakers organization. Head coach Pat Riley, famed for his intensity, spared no one, least of all the 6-time MVP. The practices were grueling, demanding renewed commitment and energy. Riley pushed his team to the brink, testing their resolve and their willingness to fight back. But it was the film session before Game 2 that became the defining moment of accountability. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, often characterized by a reserved and stoic demeanor, uncharacteristically sat in the front row, quietly absorbing the pointed critiques directed at his effort and poor play. Pat Riley directed all of his lashes toward the veteran, and Kareem took them in stride. This uncharacteristic acceptance of public accountability signaled his intense personal resolve to the rest of the team. Kareem's shift from superstar aloofness to visible, vulnerable leadership was a crucial emotional component his teammates needed to witness. Magic Johnson would later recount that the motivation behind Kareem's upcoming dominance was directly fueled by the Memorial Day Massacre. The humiliation had awakened something primal in the aging champion, something that had been dormant, waiting for the right moment to explode back to the surface. The silence that followed that film session spoke volumes. While other players might have made speeches or promises, Kareem simply went to work. He disappeared into his routine, focusing on the fundamentals that had carried him through nearly 2 decades of professional basketball. The skyhook, the footwork, the positioning. Every detail mattered now more than ever. His teammates watched this quiet determination and understood that something special was brewing. Magic later said, "The captain isn't finished. He's reloading." Before Game 2, the 6-time NBA champion made an unusual request. He asked Riley if his father could ride the team bus to the arena. Riley made an exception to team protocol. This search for fundamental personal grounding signaled that the game was more than just professional. It was a deeply personal mission. Kareem was ready to prove everyone wrong. On May 30th, the Lakers delivered their response with a decisive 109-102 victory, evening the series. The turnaround was orchestrated entirely by Kareem, who didn't just respond to criticism but exploded against Boston's defense. His minutes skyrocketed from 22 in Game 1 to 42 in Game 2. He delivered a comprehensive masterclass, destroying the Celtics with 30 points, 17 rebounds, and 8 assists, flirting with a triple-double. The Lakers established an 18-point halftime lead and never looked back. The Boston crowd, so loud and celebratory just days earlier, fell into stunned silence as Kareem systematically dismantled their defense. Every skyhook found its target. Every rebound seemed to fall into his hands. His court vision opened up the entire Lakers offense, creating easy opportunities for his teammates. This wasn't just a good game, this was a statement, a declaration that the reports of his demise had been greatly exaggerated. Although Larry Bird scored 30 points in an attempt to spark a comeback, Kareem's dominance, particularly his comprehensive performance in rebounding and distributing the ball against Boston's vaunted frontcourt, fundamentally shifted the energy and confidence of the series. The dramatic jump in production from 12 points in 22 minutes to 30 points in 42 minutes confirmed that his body wasn't the issue in Game 1. The sheer physical commitment demonstrated in Game 2 proved the obituary had been written prematurely. But the reversal wasn't sealed just on the court. After the game, when the press surrounded his locker, seeking an explanation for the staggering turnaround, Kareem delivered the definitive verbal counterpunch. He addressed the punditry that had swiftly written him off with an iconic and self-assured statement. Contrary to public opinion, the demise of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was highly exaggerated, and there's more to come. Pat Riley later remarked that this vengeful response was more than just a momentary triumph. It was a declaration that defined the rest of the championship run and solidified the belief within the team that they would prevail. This quote was a deliberate act of psychological warfare and narrative control. It instantly transformed the series narrative from one of Lakers' vulnerability to one of Kareem's personal defiance, successfully seizing emotional control of the finals and placing the pressure squarely back on the defending champions. The revenge was finalized not just on the scoreboard, but in the ensuing media coverage. The same writers who had buried him were now forced to eat their words. Kareem's ability to turn back the clock at 38 was rooted in the unstoppable nature of his signature weapon, the skyhook. Unlike shots that rely purely on explosive athleticism, the skyhook utilizes geometrical impossibility, leverage, and height, making it largely immune to the physical effects of aging and impervious to being blocked by taller, younger defenders like Parrish and McHale. The skyhook's continued efficacy was proof that skill fundamentally trumps sheer, fleeting athleticism. By relying on what many called the prettiest shot basketball has ever known, Kareem could consistently score over the Celtics' imposing Twin Towers without needing the blistering quickness he possessed a decade earlier. Following his explosion in Game 2, Kareem's production remained remarkably elite and consistent, preventing the Celtics from regaining any significant momentum. This sustained dominance was essential to the Lakers' victory, shifting the tactical burden onto Boston's defense. In Game 3, Abdul-Jabbar continued his high efficiency, recording 26 points and 14 rebounds as the Lakers routed the Celtics 136-111. The message was clear. Game 2 wasn't a fluke. This was the new reality of the series. Even in the Lakers' close loss in Game 4, the team only fell short after Magic Johnson's spectacular one-handed junior skyhook narrowly failed to seal the win. The crucial pivotal moment arrived in Game 5. With the series tied 2-2, everything was on the line. One more win would put the Lakers on the brink of the championship. One loss would shift all momentum back to Boston. Kareem delivered another commanding performance. He scored 36 points, adding 7 rebounds and 7 assists, leading the Lakers to a 120-111 victory that gave Los Angeles a critical 3-2 series lead heading back to Boston. The performance demanded of Kareem was the tactical engine that drove the entire Showtime offense. After Game 2, the Celtics were forced to divert immense defensive attention to the veteran center, which simultaneously opened up opportunities for Magic Johnson and James Worthy to operate on the perimeter. perimeter. Kareem's ability to draw double teams and then distribute the ball, averaging 5.2 assists for the series, validated his presence as the critical veteran component that finally broke the Celtics' stranglehold on the rivalry. Over the course of 6 games, he averaged a comprehensive stat line of 25.7 points, 9.0 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. He also contributed defensively with 1.5 blocks and 1.0 steals. This sustained effort was necessary to defeat the deep, talented Boston team. The series shifted back to the hostile and history-steeped environment of the Boston Garden for Game 6. The pressure on the Lakers was enormous. The memory of previous finals losses, particularly the brutal 1984 defeat, loomed large. A Game 7 back in Los Angeles was a possibility the Lakers desperately wanted to avoid, given the Garden's infamous history of crushing their dreams. This was the moment of truth. Everything they had worked for, everything Kareem had proved over the last 5 games, would mean nothing if they couldn't finish the job on Boston's home court. In the clinching game, the Los Angeles Lakers secured a definitive 111-100 victory, winning the series 4-2. Kareem provided another star performance, contributing 29 points to seal the championship. The execution was meticulous and complete. The 1985 championship immediately yielded profound historical significance. It marked the first time in franchise history that the Lakers had ever defeated the Celtics in the NBA Finals. This provided the ultimate organizational revenge, exorcising the curse that had plagued the team across generations. For Kareem, the location of the victory provided the ultimate satisfaction. Winning the series 4-2 was revenge, but clinching the title in the Boston Garden, the Celtics' hallowed, iconic home court, was the ultimate, indelible act of defiance. The Lakers became the only opposing team to defeat the Celtics to win a championship in the Boston Garden. This achievement provided the maximum possible psychological impact on their greatest rival, ensuring the historical reversal was undeniable. Kareem reflected on the victory with unmistakable pride. "That was our year. We finally beat the Celtics. The Lakers-Celtics thing was dead now. We went up there and whooped them in Boston Garden. They got to live with that forever. That's awesome. That made my career. It was that good to me. I enjoyed 1985. The outcome of the series was undeniable proof of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's resilience and skill. He was overwhelmingly named the finals most valuable player, earning his second FMVP award. The accomplishment immediately cemented a singular place in NBA history. At 38 years old, Kareem became the oldest player in league history to win the finals MVP award. He achieved this extraordinary feat while performing against the rival Celtics, led by reigning league MVP Larry Bird. This triumph shattered preconceived notions about competitive longevity at the highest level of professional basketball. The achievement of winning finals MVP at 38, particularly following the Memorial Day Massacre, definitively ended the demise narrative. The 1985 finals served as the ultimate refutation of all doubts regarding his ability to perform under extreme pressure late in his career. The performance underscored the sustained value of his unique skill set. Rather than collapsing into retirement, the victory motivated Kareem to play 4 more competitive seasons, during which the Lakers won 2 additional championships in 1987 and 1988. He ultimately retired in 1989 at age 41, still holding the league's all-time scoring record. While Kareem's career was already immortalized by his records and numerous titles, the 1985 series provided the necessary narrative closure for the Showtime era. It resolved the long-standing rivalry deficit against the Celtics and proved publicly and undeniably that he could still dominate at an age previously unthinkable for an NBA center. The dramatic comeback sealed Kareem's legacy in the eyes of his most important contemporaries. Coach Pat Riley, reflecting on the center's storied career, consistently highlighted the 1985 series and Kareem's defiant quote after Game 2 as his all-time favorite moment. The performance and the subsequent championship solidified Kareem's legendary status in the estimation of his coach, who subsequently called him the greatest player in NBA history. The 1985 Finals victory, fueled by personal revenge and capped by a historic individual award, provided the definitive, positive, and dramatically satisfying final chapter for his competitive history against the Celtics. From humiliation to vindication, from finish to Finals MVP, from too old to timeless. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 1985 Finals performance remains the greatest story of resilience, revenge, and redemption in basketball history. If you enjoyed this dive into Kareem's legendary comeback, let us know what moment stood out most to you, and subscribe for more incredible basketball stories that celebrate the game's greatest moments.